Hello everybody, welcome to episode 207 of Show Fever. Today we'll be going over episode 1169 of the One Piece anime. So, this episode starts off with us seeing as the crew, or the trio here, Nami, Zoro, and Luffy and Roto, continue to explore Arist Castle. We see as it just kind of starts to freak them out a little bit, and ultimately they end up hearing a voice, and they're like, oh, they start freaking out, they start running, and ultimately Roto ends up running and dropping the three of them, and Nami gets mad in here, and she's like, I'll kick your butt. I kick your butt. And he then he then hits me with the "Don't threaten me with a good time." Like a thought bubble. But yeah, so then after that, they ultimately end up learning about who the voice was because he throws an axe, and they look over there and they see that it's this old guy with a hat on and all of that. And they're like, "Huh, who is this guy?" Ultimately, Roto recognizes him as Mr. Ya, and we see as Mr. Ya kind of describes who he is a little bit more. And so we see as he starts kind of explaining, he's like, yo, I'm the preacher of love and all of that. I'm Colin's dad, and I am the husband of Ripley. And so we see as Nami's like, how do you do that? And he's like, love finds a way. And then he gets to explain about how there's a bunch of half-breed, like, I guess, like species in the world of One Piece. He's like talking about buccaneers and stuff like that, and ultimately he's like, you know what, it is what it is. And then Nami's like, some people are a little bit too adventurous. But yeah, so we learned the ages of the giants associated with Mr. Ya as well, which are Ripley being 80 and Colin being 20, even though he is still apparently a child. But yeah, so with this, we also see as Gabon and the big lore drop there. This dude is also known as Scopper Gabon, aka the Mountain Eater. So we see as he ultimately ends up revealing to them that you probably shouldn't be getting married to a giant because they'll always grow older. You'll always grow older while they'll stay perpetually young, or at least perpetually young in appearance to you. But yeah, so we see this, and ultimately you get to see like a little bit of a flash to the party going on in the village, and we see as Usopp is regaled about a tale of who this guy is. And then ultimately we see a flashback, a minor flashback, predominantly just silhouettes here actually, of Scopper Gabon, Silver's Rayleigh, and Gold D. Roger. And we see as they get in a bit of a quarrel about something stupid that Roger plans on doing. Roger's like, you know what, I'm going to do it. Why don't you stop me? And then we kind of progress along a little bit more, and we see as Gabon plans on helping the Straw Hats to find the key to free Loki, which is their main goal here. And he ends up, well, he actually doesn't end up telling the tale, but we then see the tale of how he became known as the Mountain Eater. And it was actually how he first encountered Roger. Because during the time when Silvers, or Rayleigh, and Roger were going about, one time Roger got badly injured. And he had to remain in a mountainous area for a time, and ultimately Gabon was the one who defended him. And we see as hundreds of pirates ended up coming up here, and he was able to slay hundreds of pirates with just 2 axes. And he also cleared off the entire mountain of trees while he was up here. Therefore, he was dubbed Mountain Eater, which is one of the sickest, titles that we've seen in One Piece. Like, Mountain Eater? That is insane. Like, it's kind of goofy while also having like immense aura behind it. Like, I don't really know how to explain that. But yeah, so we see as this kind of continues along, we get just regaled a little bit more in the, I guess, person of Scopper Gabon. We get to see a little bit of his characterization. I loved him in the anime so far. He legit had me laughing at multiple points throughout this episode, and I loved it. It was great. And we also learn, obviously, through this that he was the left wing of the Pirate King. Therefore, he was technically lesser in strength to Rayleigh, but also still a very powerful opponent. And this episode ultimately progresses to the point in which we see, they all find the key. And once they find the key, we see that Gabon ends up going up there, and he's like, yeah, though you want to free Loki, not everyone wants Loki to be freed. Not even villains want Loki to be freed. So you're going to have to fight me for this key. So he pulls out the key, starts spinning it, and prepares to fight Zoro, Luffy, and technically Nami for the key to free Loki. And that's where we kind of end off for this episode. So yeah, I loved this episode. I love how they just portrayed Gabon throughout this episode, because Gabon is one of my favorite characters, or at least newly introduced characters in the Elbaf arc. I know probably my tops would be obviously Loki and Ragnar, also Harold as well, and Rox, even though Rox isn't really Elbaf. But yeah, so that's all it really was for this episode. It was kind of a slower episode, but one thing I've noticed is I really like these slower episodes of Elbaf a lot more as compared to the slower episodes we had in Egghead, especially watching weekly, because I don't know what it is. I guess it's just that I know good stuff is coming pretty soon, that I greatly enjoy the Elbaf. So I mean, I'm just less of a fan of the Egghead arc in general, because I just feel like it kind of drags on a bit. But yeah. So that's all. Like I said, that's all it really was for the episode 1169, and that's all I really have for episode 207 of Shelf Review. So thank you very much for watching.